4.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz singer and songwriter Raul Midón. We caught up with him in his home studio in Maryland on May 1st, 2020 to talk about this new COVID-19 world with no live jazz. And it was a very frank, revealing, raw, and honest look at the frustration and uncertainty the music world faces. I debated on whether to release this or not, but it's a necessary voice and a journey here at Neon Jazz to capture all the points of view of a pandemic world and how that has both lifted and ravaged the jazz world at large. Have a listen.
How are you?
Well, as good as possible, I suppose. I mean, for our business, it's devastating, you know?
Yeah.
It's absolutely devastating.
I agree.
There's no putting a fucking sugar coat on it.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons why I've been reaching out. I want to talk about what's going on, you know, musically, but I also really kind of want to get the word out and just reach out to you guys.
Those of us who are writers, especially, we've been working for years. We got tons of material out there. The material is being consumed by the general public, but we don't get paid anywhere close to the value of that material. So while government and essential workers are getting paid, at least, we work. I'm still working. This is just yet another example of the flaw in the way the stuff is. You know, we are stuff there. It's being. But my songs have millions of. The new album is I guess 250,000 streams for a mid-level, not that well-known artist. That's pretty good. Sorry, I'm not in the greatest of moods today. Yeah, I mean, I understand the whole lockdown thing. I understand this is it's deadly. There's no question about it. This isn't a fucking flu. But I'm talking about the economic toll because, mentally, I mean, there's not a lot of people. There's a good number of people that are going to make money from this thing. Musicians, for a long time, have been undervalued and devalued. And I'm not talking about, forget about the venues and the gigs and all that. That's a whole other thing. I'm talking about those of us who have worked and put lots of recorded material out there. We should be getting paid a living wage for that shit that's being played every day, 24 hours a day, 7 fucking days a week. That shit is playing somewhere in the world. That's our work. Honestly, I'm for instance, I'm leaving my label after this. I'm not going to play the game anymore because this is bullshit. Yeah. You know, they're all on salary and now they're making a big show about our label is going to sell CDs for 4 days and give the money to the artist. Fuck that. You should have done that when we were out doing shows and selling CDs, because most jazz musicians don't sell a goddamn thing unless they're in a show. It's a little late. Agree. You know what? You know what's insulting about Spotify? They put a tip jar out. Their whole platform is based on the content we provide. That's what their content is based on. Spotify should give $1,000 to every single artist on their platform. Yeah. So fuck this tip jar. Oh, we'll put a thing where you can donate. And listen, the problem with us musicians is that none of us want to admit how fucked up it is. None of us. Right. We don't want to admit that. You know, I'm okay for now because I have equity in my house and blah, blah, blah. I got a suspension of mortgage payments from my bank, thank God. And I own my publishing. So it's not great, but it's something. You know, I actually have an income. It's trickly, but it's something. But this whole, the way it's set up, and with everything, the manager's taking 15-20% off the top. The whole thing is fucked up. It's been fucked up. You know, our gigs are gone. I mean, gone, like to nothing. Our shit is still out there. People are still consuming it. People are hungry for it.
Most definitely.
And I've been interviews up to this point. I've been, things. Man, I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat this shit anymore.
No.
I'm not going to do this. Oh, I'm a blind guy. I'm going to be optimistic. Fuck that. And I'm, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a musician my whole life, whether I do it as a profession or not. But, I've always written man, if I can find a way to fucking switch professions, man, I will do it. I don't think it happen, but yeah. My fantasy of being able to somehow make money as a writer, I don't know. Twice. And the money they spend on fucking green M&Ms and oh my God. And they can't give musicians that are the reason for their existence.
Yeah. I get it. Believe me.
All of us, so many of us were booked more. I was booked through to next year. Yeah. I was going to South by Southwest because my new record, we were all, I mean, it was the year. I mean, everything was set. I was actually going to get out of debt this year and actually, like, I was, somewhat wealthy.
Yeah.
And now, like, this is just, it's just, and only people that are in the music business really understand, because this is not like, this is complete and total. And yeah, we're going to stream and we're all streaming and all that, and that's cool, but it doesn't pay the bills.
No, I get it. And
honestly, I got to say this too, and it's not going to be very popular, but it's going to be interesting to see if all of these so-called fans that we all have, when it comes right down to it, are they going to come up to the plate? Do they care about what we do enough to actually pay for it?
I get you. Yeah.
For me, the only thing that flow right now is that I'm not just a jazz musician. I don't go out and play standards. All of my songs that I've been writing for 20 years are in. I have an administration deal with Cobalt, and so I own the publishing. A small percentage, but that is the only. If I were strictly a jazz musician, that, let's face it, we make our money on gigs. We make our money by traveling. That's why we're on the road so much. If that would be, I don't know, homeless right now.
Yeah,
we have been trying in this country for years to get a performance royalty. Everywhere else in Europe, most places in Europe, they have it.
Yeah.
So, like, whether it's, Billy Joe Jones making a record without it, or Tane's solo on, or what's his name? Good solo on Just You Are. Kinds of things are sometimes fake records. Maybe the drumming on Rick Murata, I guess. Or there are performances that hit records, or at least help make it records. They're saying this. So, but they don't get royalty for that, because radio pushes back on it, and people come out and it divides the industry. But this is, and then Naras has been trying to do this for years. There should be a performance royalty in every country in Europe. There is, and even the whole idea of competition. I mean, now the states are competing for masks. Are you serious?
Yeah, right.
This is the country that we live in. I don't know that we could have prevented it, even with the most cooperation, because it's everywhere in the world. However, it certainly could have been handled and could be handled a lot better. And and all these shortages. I mean, who ever heard in the land of milk and honey, we can't get masks, we can't get swabs, we can't get tests. I mean, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And you know what? Last time I was in Germany, which was last year, it's not a socialist country, but everybody has health care.
Totally.
The last time I was in Italy, it's not a socialist country. There's capitalism there. And probably less spread of the disease. I mean, people don't want to go to the hospital until they have to. And by that time, they've already spread it. And they're already too sick enough that some of them will die. What is that? The only thing that is about is them trying to keep people from having a run on masks. But that's not good advice. That wasn't good advice. And that was coming from Fauci and all of them. Wear a mask if you're healthy. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
They changed the tune, but I don't know. As far as the music industry goes, the only thing I can say is, I have a studio here, so I'm just doing what I do. But man, if I'd known this shit was going to come down, I don't know. I don't know if I could have picked a different profession. I mean, I'm a blind guy. It's not a whole lot else I can do. This just blows. I was saying this to my wife about transitions. Like where
you ready?
Like I'm in. I don't want to know if I want to say established, but I'm established in a small way in my industry. We have a house. Where we weren't moving anywhere or going anywhere or trying to do something. I've done that in my life already. But people that were in any kind of a transition, man, this is like a knockout punch to the gut, man. This is, whether it's, graduating, going, kids that were, had their whole life ahead of them and had all this stuff that they were planning to do. And I get up every day and I try to get better at what I do and, keep going forward and keep doing work and I'm trying to get into this whole streaming. I'm trying to up my game. I just got an iRig so that I can have better videos and, but I mean, I'm not kidding myself. This isn't cool. But I mean, I'm doing, we're doing as best as we can, and as I said, we're cool for a few months, but eventually, it's like, what are we going to do? I don't know. If there isn't more of an income, eventually, it's just going to get really ugly. I'm trying to do what we can, stream. Ask for donations. I've never I'm a blind person. I've never begged for money in my life, man. I've always done my own thing. I've always, made my way in the world. And I'm totally humbled. I'm totally, fuck, this is, this is not, there is no way to put any kind of a good spin on this for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. The other night, my wife...
Other than, I'm lucky to have a house, I have some food to eat, I have a wife, we're together. That's cool. Yeah. I know that I'm fortunate in that sense, for sure. Yeah. I do think that there have been some things. I mean, obviously, the Spanish flu epidemic was really bad in 1918. Yeah. I think World War II was pretty bad for a lot of people. There were shortages. It was, we've already passed the amount of people that died in Vietnam. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, for musicians, it just, if somebody had told me this was going to happen in a year, a year ago, I don't know. And I think I might have house and gone, lived somewhere in the wilderness or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
this
I get
was unimaginable. And I was traveling in February, and it was already going on in China, and I just couldn't imagine it getting this bad. I have to say, and I'm not I know there were people and scientists that did see it coming and tried to tell people, hey, this is no joke. I know. No. I was in Beijing last year in 2019. So, 2018, I guess, actually. But I played in Beijing. It was the first time I'd ever been to China. So, anyway, So there you go. It is what it is.
Well,
and we are not going to be the same for a long time, even when this starts to dissipate. The music business is never going to be the same. I hope musicians stand up against. I don't have good hope for it because musicians are such weasels, and they're looking. We're like, oh, we'll take anything. You know, we're not. We don't feel confident enough to stand up against record labels and managers and people that have set up the system to rip us off for a long, long time. Now that the shit has hit the fan, now it's very stark because all the people, even at the small jazz labels like the one I'm on, Blue Note and all of them, they're all still making a salary and they're making a show of jazz charity and all that. Come on, man. Really?
Yeah.
Do a little better than that. You've made millions of dollars from us. You know, I'm not buying this crap. I'm not. I'm not buying this crap from record labels. Oh, 4 days of CDs with direct, to the artist. Are you fucking kidding me? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I am fortunate I have a recording studio here. At least I don't have to beg for that. And I feel like it's something I can do every day and feel like I'm still doing, what I've devoted my life to, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to do whatever I can. If I got to release something directly, then that's what I'm going to do. All right. Sorry. It wasn't the interview I normally would have given, but I'm just kind of like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it anymore. I'm not going to pretend that, oh yeah, well, I'm just trying to stay cool, and I'm not going to pretend anymore. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest singers and songwriters in Maryland, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Raul for being raw with the program. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Badass in mind.
Neon Jazz.